We start with moments in current affairs. At least 27 suspected migrants from Ethiopia have been found lifeless, suffocated, and possibly thrown from a truck on the outskirts of Zambia's capital, Lusaka. Zambian police spokesperson Danny Mwale told the BBC's African branch on Sunday that security forces found only one survivor, not breathing, who was rushed to a local hospital. The bodies were found in the district of Ngwerere at around 6 a.m. Our preliminary investigations indicate that a total number of 28 persons, all males aged between 20 and 38, were dumped at Meanwood, Nkosi, along Chiminuka Road by unknown persons, Lusaka police added. Based on the documents they were carrying, it is believed that the migrants were coming from Ethiopia and were passing through Zambian territory as a stopover on a very common journey for people mostly from the Horn of Africa to South Africa. The bodies have been transferred to the morgue at the University of Zambia Teaching Hospital. In October, in neighboring Malawi, authorities discovered 25 bodies of Ethiopian migrants as in a mass grave. The Malawian police also made it known that at the time they had evidence to link the stepson of the former president, Peter Mutharika, to the crime. Johannesburg Emergency Services have confirmed that a body of a police officer who was swept away by the flash floods in Soweto this week has been recovered. Heavy downpours left the trail of destruction in Gauteng, with Soweto and Roodepoort among the areas hardest hit by the persistent rainfall. EMS spokesperson Xolile Khumalo says the officer was carried away by floodwaters on Friday while driving in a submerged road. The EMS team said that it has been concluded has conducted the EMS team has concluded that a search for Mufolo South has confirmed that they found a body in Mufolo South, Nansfield. A family member has confirmed that the body found is indeed the body of a police officer. Proud parents Unathi Nkai and her husband Thomas Msengana recently celebrated their firstborn son's 18th birthday. The mother of two took to her timeline recently, sharing images of their family celebration, penning a heartfelt message. Unathi recalled her experience of being in labor for 4 days with her miracle baby. Sitting here in front of me, I can't believe you're 18. Daddy and I did it. You're happy, beautiful, and ours. I love you up to God, Nago. 4 days of labor. We almost lost you, but you managed it. Namanyange said, I never. Yes, this is Zulu side. Say too. You said, mums, I'm only 18 now. You don't have to protect me anymore. I can protect myself. You don't have to hide my face anymore. And Gosinagowam, thank you for making me grow up and have a purpose. Great, man. It's 24 minutes now after 9 a.m. Unemployment Insurance Fund Commissioner Tebogo Maruping has opened a criminal case with the police against a private security guard who allegedly solicited a 400 rand bribe from him to expedite a benefits claim. Maruping wanted to have a first-hand account of the challenges and customer experience offered to the citizens in the view of improving service delivery. Maruping arrived, a private security guard, unaware of who he was, allegedly indicated to him that the center had stopped capturing claims for this year. She then allegedly requested 400 rand from Maruping to facilitate assistance from government officials at the labor center. The commissioner allowed the entire process to unfold and then reported the incident to labor center management, who immediately had the security guard removed from the premises. He subsequently opened a criminal case against the officer at Soshanguve police station. Maruping condemned the practice of paying to take bribes for government services that are free to citizens. It happens more often than we know. R. Kelly's lawyers say there is not much appetite from police to investigate the leak of an album containing new tracks by the sex predator. Attorney Jennifer Bonjean told the Washington Post that the 13-track record titled I Admit, was an unauthorized release of stolen music and contains music of Mr. Kelly's that is in the hands of people who should not have it. The songs, all recorded before Kelly's imprisonment, appeared on streamers including Apple Music and Spotify on Friday, but were removed within hours. Jennifer also told the Post Kelly's master's recordings were stolen around the time of his arrest on sex crime charges in February 2019, potentially via recording equipment or hard drive. The publication said she declined to identify potential culprits. She told the Post the people must have stolen the music before, so this has happened, but usually it shows up on YouTube or it's usually like a track. It was unusual because it was a streaming on Spotify and Apple. We still didn't know where they started or why they started streaming it. Jennifer added she had informed R. Kelly of the leak on Friday at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago. She said his criminal cases are first and foremost, but yes, this has been on our minds and it's very difficult to figure out who has the music. Across the border, state-owned power company Zimbabwe Electrical Supply Authority says low water levels at the Kariba Dam are triggering the country's current blackouts. Zimbabwe's main hydro plant is located at the dam, but that is not the only renewable energy plant affecting electricity generation. The failure of aging equipment at its Hwange thermal power station have also played a part. ZANU-PF is laying the blame for the crisis squarely at former President Robert Mugabe's feet. However, the main opposition party, Citizens Coalition for Change, has done nothing to fix it. For the years that Zimbabwe was importing some of its electricity from neighboring South Africa, but the country is now facing its own energy crisis. City Power has had to withdraw teams they sent to Jeppe Town in Johannesburg over concerns about their safety. The City Power CEO, Chifuru Mashava, says that their employees came under attack and were robbed of their belongings while working to restore electricity. You can't put food on the table with another man's mother's tears. This was the message from Manenberg police on Sunday as shootings in this Cape Town community continue to escalate. At least 7 people have been killed in Manenberg since the end of November. Police said officers were doing their best to curb the ongoing shootings, but violence continued. A prayer hour was expected on Sunday. Manenberg police spokesperson Captain Ian Bennett said the community needs to act. The only way to stop the gangs is for the good people of Manenberg to put prayer into action, and that is up to give up their sons and daughters, mothers and fathers who are involved in these gangs and murderous actions. Parents know their children are involved in gangs. They know their children are in possession of illegal firearms and ammunition. He said drugs were the number one contributing factor that financed gang activities and contributed to gender-based violence, which is destroying families. A legal expert on Sunday said chances were slim that the African Commission on Human and People's Rights would overturn Yanis Wallace's parole. Last month, the Constitutional Court ordered that Wallace, the man who killed SACP Secretary General Chris Hani in 1993, will be released on parole. After 29 years behind bars, he was freed last week. The SACP and Hani's widow, Limpo, have been vehemently fighting Wallace's release for years. They brought a rescission application shortly after the Apex Court ruling. This was dismissed on Friday, but the parties since announced new plans to fight the African Commission and Human Rights of People. The Commission presides over the human rights infringement that has not been properly or fairly dealt with by the courts in the member states. Advocate Paul Hoffman explained because it's not a court of the first instance, the litigant has to show their matter invokes a commission's jurisdiction before it will consider it, and most attempts to get there fall at the preliminary hurdle. When it comes to the case at hand, Hoffman thinks the chances of the commission stepping in are low. Finally, and further afield, in our beautiful continent of Africa, the body of a Zambian student who died fighting in the Ukraine after he was recruited in a Russian jail arriving home in a makeshift coffin Sunday. Journalists saw a white glass-paneled hearse adorned with small curtains, affording a partial view of a container holding the body arrive on the tarmac at Lusaka Airport while grieving relatives gathered. On the coffin was a code written in black marker pen with the letters Cyrillic alphabet betraying its provenance. Zambia demanded an urgent explanation from Moscow last month over the death of Lemekani Nathan Nyirenda in September while fighting on the Russian side in Ukraine, where he ended up after his spell in prison. The 23-year-old had been studying nuclear engineering at Moscow's Engineering Physics Institute, but was handed a 9.5-year jail term over a drugs offense. 2 weeks after Zambia's demand for information, Russia's Wagner paramilitary group admitted it had recruited him for Moscow's special operations in Ukraine, adding that he had voluntarily joined up before dying a hero. Russian law allows for prisoners to be pardoned specifically for a special military operation. Tearful relatives, including the student's parents and brother, were on hand at the airport, clasping each other as a choir led those present to the religious chants. The family declined to comment to media. A spokesperson said that the body was to be transferred to a morgue for an autopsy with a burial date to follow. Gugubo said Friday the issue of compensation to the family over the death would be discussed in due time. That comes and brings us to the end of Moments in Current Affairs.
This is KNR